Hello, I'm Alan Keck, Kecker the Clay Whisperer. If you're on that channel, you're at the right place to see the river table. I've been making river tables for about the last 4 years and really enjoyed doing it. It's something that I do when I'm not making pottery. I've been doing pots for 60 years. And that's what my clay channel's all about. But I do a lot of different kinds of art. And this is one, the rivers. And I really enjoy doing them. And I have fun doing them, whether I'm here or whether I'm in Florida. Michelle from Glitz and Glitter has been a big encouragement to me and a lot of help. And she's my mentor and my teacher. And she's just a real peach. I mean, she's such a good person. And she's just as generous as you can be. And she's taught me a lot. I'm not good with computers. I'm not very good with these cameras either. I'm a one-man operation up here in Minnesota, just one camera and me. So the production value is not good on this first river table video that I've done. When I'm videoing the potter's wheel, I start and I do it and I'm finished, and then I can edit them and do what I need to do. With these tables, as you know, working with epoxy, you work on it a while, then you got to leave it, come back later and work on it some more, and then come back later and do some more work. So it's been a lot more difficult. There's times when I've been doing these videos that I turn the video on, but it doesn't really come on, or it doesn't have enough storage space to record, and I don't know that. So there's two critical, not critical, but two important video days that did not record. And one of them is at the point where I'm ready to start pouring the outside, the top coat. And I did all the prep work to get ready to pour the top coat, and it didn't video that part. And then so when I did get the video working again, I'd already poured the table, the first top coat on the table. So you won't get to see the whole production at that point. You will have an opportunity to see the same thing happen again when I do the second pour on the tabletop. And let's see, there was one other thing. The part where I take off the tape and let the epoxy flow down around the edges, of the table. Didn't get that either. So you'll have to see it the second round and just imagine what it was like, I guess. I tell you, these river tables are a lot of fun. I started making about 4 years ago when I made the very first one for the tabletop or the countertop in this cabin. I'd never made one before, and I'd seen a video or two, but they weren't anything even similar to what I was doing or wanted to do. So I just winged it. And I've been working on my technique, ever since. And it's getting better and better. I'll be turning 74 years old in November. And I've been dealing with lung cancer for the last 20 years. It's come back on me 4 times, and the doctors called me an outlier. And I think that pretty much means that I'm not supposed to be here. pounds that I am. But, you know, I'm 74, I'll be 74, time's starting to run out. I've been making pottery for 60 years. I started when I was 13. And I've learned a lot, and I'm trying to teach as much of my knowledge or give as much of my knowledge away as I can. And I've learned a few tricks on the river tables, and so I've decided to make some videos and show folks what I do on my river table technique. And I've been having a lot of fun doing it. Michelle's the one who's responsible for this because she talked me into doing this. I've got this piece is a commission piece. And so I was doing one anyway, so I thought, well, I might as well go ahead and video it and see if we can come up with a good program. So we'll see what it's like on the production. I get in the zone, and I block everything else out that's all around me. And I was shooting these videos, and the TV was blaring in the background. I didn't even realize it until I reviewed the video. And then I'm going, oh man, that TV was loud. But so that's the production value, and it's due to my inexperience. But I think you can still get the picture. And I can tell you that when I do another one, and I won't be doing that until I get back to Florida, but when I do another one, I'm going to have my production value a little bit better. So you all know what it's like to work with epoxy, and boy, the slightest little mistake and you got a problem, you know, and you're just going to have to either sand it out or you're going to pour over it, or there's ways to take care of it, but you want to try not to make all those mistakes. And I've learned a lot over the years, so I've got my process down pretty good. I get all my rocks from 4 different locations on Lake Superior. I get my weeds and my organic properties from out in my forest. Most of them come off lichen off the trees and wildflowers growing in the ditch and out in my driveway. You know, I just pick up things that look interesting and put them in my rivers. I want my rivers to look like real rivers. I only have 3/4 of an inch thickness to work with. That's the depth that I get to work with. But I want it to look like it's 10 feet deep. So it takes me, I pour 1/8 of an inch at a time. And so it'll take 6 pours just to fill the river. And then once the river is full, up to the tabletop level, then I'll pour 2 or 3 top coats over it before it's finished. So it'll end up being anywhere from 8 to 10 pours for a table this size, you know. When I'm doing a thick live edge table, you know, sometimes I get into like 14, 15 pours to get the effect that I want. So that's just all part of the process. And this is an example. It's Red River. It is a representation of the river Styx from Greek mythology. And I would encourage any of you to bone up on some Greek mythology, because it's some interesting stuff. Especially if you get to the point where you can read the great classics, the Iliad and the Odyssey, or even watch the movies. It's high adventure. And those pieces of literature were some of the earliest of our great literary works. By Homer. And it's good stuff. It's always worth adding to your education, you know. So I'd encourage you to go back and look up some Greek mythology and look up the river Styx. If you're familiar with the British band called Styx, that's where they got the name from. It was Greek mythology. So that's about all I've got to say. I hope you enjoy this video. I hope you enjoy my other videos on the potter's wheel, because I'm having a good time doing it. And, you know, every time I sit down on the wheel or I start doing a river table, I've got high hopes. And I'm sure you do too. When you sit down to make a work of art, whether it's in whatever material you're using, you've got this idea in your head, and you want to see it come to fruition. And I've always got high hopes when I sit down to make some artwork. And when I'm done, it's like, woo! I feel good. And I knew that I would, because I always do when I make art. It's magic, and making magic is some fun stuff. So I hope you stick with it and can see this video, and I hope you can play with the image a little bit to maybe make it expand so you can get a better focus on the river and see down inside. Camera never does artwork justice. So you know, I hope that I'm getting a good enough video that you can really see down into the river and see the depth in the river and all the interesting things that's going on in there. So appreciate you coming to my channel. Please give me some likes and subscribe to my channel. That's ultimately what's going to keep me going for the long distance, is getting enough people to subscribe and watch my channel to make it worthwhile. I hope to be able to leave something as a legacy for my baby granddaughter, Junie. She's going to be turning 2 years old on the first week of October. I think it's October the 6th. But she's just the greatest thing that's ever happened to me and my family. And I'm hoping that I can leave her a YouTube channel that's operating, and so she'll be able to see me and something about my life, and have something that she could keep forever. That's one thing about YouTube, and one thing about these videos is they're going to outlast all of us, I hope. But it's for sure they're going to outlast me. And I've got high hopes for that also, as I do for you and all the work that you do, and high hopes. Thanks. Over and out. Okay, Kicker Clay Whisperer is back, and we're getting ready to cut the river into this tabletop. It's a 24-inch round tabletop. This piece of equipment right here is a router, and that is one dangerous piece of equipment. This one's a Chicago Electric. That's a router blade right there. It's sharp, and when it goes, it goes. And so you got to be real careful with this piece of equipment. This isn't something that you just pick up and start using. You got to learn how to use it. I'm going to start out by going about a little more than 1/4 of an inch deep. And that's a good sharp blade right there. And I'm going to be gouging out this river form right here. right there. And this camera will be up on the tripod, so it's going to be hard to see everything, but I've only got one camera to use because I'm flying solo on this exhibition. So anyway, I hope you're going to be able to see it good. You do need to understand that indeed this is a dangerous piece of equipment, and it can sure hurt somebody real bad, real easy. So if you're going to use this type of this type of a thing, you got to really learn a little something about it before you start. Okay. Hello, everybody. It's Kicker, Clay Whisperer, and filming again in northern Minnesota, about 15 miles from Canada. And I got a little switch to do in this episode. I've been encouraged to do a video on my one of my river tables. I happen to be doing a consignment piece, commission piece, and I'm getting this done before I go back south to Florida. And so I was convinced to go ahead and do a video on it and have something for my many epoxy friends who use two-part epoxy to create some wonderful things. And my good friend, my teacher, my mentor, Michelle from Glitz and Glitter, convinced me to go ahead and video this little table that I'm going to make just for some fun and putting it out there so some of the epoxy people can get a look at my technique. So this is going to be fun. This material I'm using is pine. There's a piece right there. This is a 24-inch diameter piece of pine. It is got it at the lumberyard. It's an edge-glued pine 12-inch round panel. That's what this one is. This is an edge-glued pine 24-inch round panel. Now they come surfaced pretty well sanded. You still have to sand them. And I have to do some preliminary work before I can ever start cutting in the river. So this is the back side of it. And, you know, every project I take on, my attitude is I want it to be better than the last piece I did. Well, for the river tables, I'm not going to get one better than the last piece I did, because the last piece I did was on a live edge piece of exotic wood, and it was really beautiful. These pieces are only an inch thick. So to create a good river on them, you really have to work at creating an optical illusion. And so we'll talk about more about that later. When you're gouging into a piece of wood like this, and it's edge glued, you can see the grain, the lumber goes this way, the planks that are glued together. And you cut 3/4 of an inch or 7/8 of an inch thick or deep into this. It's only an inch thick. It can really cause the wood to warp and to move and to go out of lose its flatness, right? So in order to adjust for that, I put steel in each one of them to keep them from warping. And when I put the steel in, I go across the lengths of pine that's glued together. It's glued together this way, right? If I put them in over here, I would only be covering one board, or maybe two if I went to joint, but I wouldn't want to go in a joint really. So I'd only be going across one board. That wouldn't do me any good as far as warping goes. So I go across this way to put my steel in. This steel is 1/2 inch rebar. They use in construction trades, mostly in concrete and pouring concrete, but rebar, you can use it for a lot of things. 1/2 inch around steel. This groove here, I cut out with a router, a 1/2 inch router bit, and I went a 1/2 inch deep, and it's a 1/2 inch wide. And by the time the router goes through, it leaves it a little bit wider, enough for the steel, the rebar, to fit down inside of it. And then I got to make sure that rebar is not going to come out of there. And so I use Bondo. It's a material that you use for on automobiles to repair fenders and body work and things like that. It sets up good and hard, and I've had good luck with it. And that is going to help keep this piece from warping, because I'm really going to torture it when I cut the river into it. Now also, I'm going to be putting legs on. Now these legs are going to be right here, right over here, and here, equal distance. And the one this size will need 3 legs. So these are equal distance apart. I wanted to be sure I could put my screws in without hitting the rebar. And I also want to be able to put my screws in without screwing into the river, which is going to be on the other side of this table. So I laid this out, got my legs where they wanted to be, got my steel reinforcers across the way the wood runs, and marked them. And then I gave myself some little marks on the sides so I knew where the ends were. Turned the table over and drew my river inside this area here, so that none of my screw holes are going to go down inside the river. Also, so the river's avoiding my steel, because I'm going to be going down deep enough so that if I ran over into the rebar, I'd be hitting steel with my router blade, and I don't want to do that. So I figured all of that out before I started. And then the first thing I did after I had it sanded down was I put my router lines in, and I put in the rebar yesterday and let it set up with the Bondo. So I've got these marked. I know where they're going to be, and I know where my river's going to be. When I turn it over, the river is going to be inside this area, but it's not going to be out where I'm going to be putting screws in from my table legs. And I'm not going to be hitting my rebar. You have to think those things through before you start cutting your river in. Because if you don't, and you cut into the screws, especially if you cut into the rebar, well, you're probably going to be putting in a new router bit. And you don't want to put in very many of those, because they can get kind of expensive. Okay, I'm going to turn this puppy over and give you an idea. You'll be able to see what a roughed-in river is looking like. Remember, here's my steel. So I've turned it over. My steel's approximately here and here. And I've got a leg here, a leg here, a leg over here in these open areas. So I've planned for all that. This river is going to come in from the side. It's going to do an elbow off this way, swing around almost to where the rebar is, swing around this way, come back and empty out over there. There's going to be an island out here. And the river is going to go around, and it's going to go this way, and there'll be currents, there'll be rocks, there'll be weeds. And this river is going to be red. It is going to be a representation of the river Styx from Greek mythology. And you may have heard of the band Styx, British band. They took their name from Greek mythology, the river Styx. The river Styx separates the land of the living and the land of the dead. And you have to ferry across the river to get from the land of the living to the land of the dead. You can go that way, but there are gatekeepers to make sure you don't come back. Right? So that's the myth of the river Styx. And it flows through the battlegrounds, the pestilence, the places where there's famine and where people are dying and the souls are taken down the river Styx, and then they have to down to the river Styx, and they have to cross into Hades, Greek mythology. Okay, so this is approximately where the river is going to be, and I've got to turn it back over now and show you how to reinforce the rest of the bottom of the tabletop so it does not warp when we're working on it. So I'm going to flip it back over. And I've already marked this backer board that I'm putting on there. And I've got it marked so that, let's see, how does this work? So that I line it up straight and get it centered up here. Okay. So I'll get it centered up, equal distance all the way around. I've already got some markers here. There, there, and there. Here, there, and there. And I'm lining it up this way. And so I know that these marks are not going to come in to they're not going to be influenced by the river underneath. Because I'm going to screw this backer board down all the way around here. I'm not going to screw any out here because I don't want to screw into where the river's at. After I get these on, I may turn it over and figure out some other locations where I can go ahead and put another screw or two in. But for right now, I'm going to have 6 screws. 3 on this side, 3 on that side. This is going to serve 2 purposes. This is going to hold it so that it doesn't move along with the steel. And it's also going to lift this up off the ground when I turn it over to, off the surface of the table, when I turn it over to pour the top and to pour the river. So this is going to serve me in 2 different ways, a couple different ways. You can see there's a mess out here. I have used this on my engraver over and over again, and I'll use it again because I'll take this off after the piece is finished, and this won't go with the piece. It'll just be this board. But after the river's poured, it won't warp. This is to be sure it doesn't warp while I'm working on the river. All right, so that's what's going to go on next. I'm going to take my screwdriver or my drill, and I'm going to drill some screws right down in there. And then this piece is going to be ready to turn over and start to cut out the river. and then the chips will be flying. So I'll be doing that tomorrow, I think. So until then. Okay, to do this, you use this equipment. You need to have a mask, and you also need to have some ear protection. So. This is what we call a plunge router. And like I said, I've got it set for a little more than 1/4 inch. I'm going to start when I'm going the deepest to make the river. I'm going to work out from there. Okay, my first pass with the router is going about a little over 1/4 inch deep. My second pass, I'm going to go down about 1/4 inch. I'm going to keep working this area in the middle because that's going to be the deepest part of the river. I want to keep this area up here for my router pallet here to slide on, so I can get down as deep as possible. So every time you adjust the router, you need to unplug it. You don't cut yourself up. So I'm moving it out here, and I'm going to drop it down. About another 1/4 inch. Now, on this time when I start it, I'm going to start it up here. I'm not going to start it here where the window's going to be, because that's as low as I'm going to go. Here. It's going to get deeper inside. So I'm going to plug it back in. I'll start right up here. This time I'm going to plunge it. Okay, every now and then you got to stop, and you got to go back and see if your router bit has traveled any in the brace. So I'm going to set it back here and look there. So that tells me that this bit has traveled, and I thought it was getting awful low here, and sure enough. So I've got to readjust this router bit. thing's traveled inside the chuck. So, you gotta loosen it. Get that back in where it's supposed to be. Now that's something that you really got to watch out for. I was getting a lot deeper here, and I can feel it and see it. So now I'm going back in, and it's about the right height again. Okay, let's plug it back in. Okay, so here I go again. Okay, so I'm going to drop this down again. Okay, so that deepest area right there is about 3/4 of an inch thick. So that's why I'm going to try to set this, go back in here and get this all down to that same depth. That's as far as I can go because this is only an inch thick. So I got to be careful not to go through. So, there. Now I don't want to go any deeper than that. Okay, that's roughed into the deepest part of the river. Now I'm going to readjust it. I'm going to start working the outside, shallower edges of the river. Okay, I'm going to go a little bit deeper. The edge it along the inside edge there. Okay, that's roughed in, good enough. This surface area right here is going to be an island, and so I have a chance to a different piece of equipment. Okay, I've got the main part of the river gouged out with a router, and this is down about 3/4 of an inch deep, maybe a little deeper. But the piece of wood is only an inch thick, so I've got to be real careful. This is why I reinforce with steel here and over here, and that's why I've got the backer board on it, because this puts a heck of a stress in this wood, and I don't want it to warp up on one side or the other. So that's why the steel is in the bottom, and that's why the backer board's there until it's all finished. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to shave these edges and create the bank of the river and the taper down into the deepest areas. And to do this, I'm going to use a 4.5 inch grinder, angle grinder, and it's got loaded up with about 60 grain sandpaper. And I'm going to sand it down. I'm going to also grind out a little bit more down in the bottom without going through, and get the banks of this river ready to start taking some design work in it, some rocks and some weeds and all the little tricks I'm going to do to it. So that's where we're at right now, and I'm going to get after it on with the grinder, and you'll be able to see how that goes down. Okay, gotta be sure to get the mask back on. This is gonna be more powdery. And get your ear protection. More real. So I come in here and I can use my sander, take these lines out, and this piece is roughed in the way it should be. So I'm going to go ahead and take the clamps off. And I'm going to use my palm sander. And I'm going to paint up top. Hello everybody, this is Kecker, Clay Whisperer, back on the project of a river table, a red river table that is about the river Styx from Greek mythology. Yesterday I got the prep work done on the 24-inch round panel that I'm using, and got that all roughed in, and now I've got my palette laid out in front of us here. These are all the things that are going to go into the river, and I've got gravel from a little tiny up to 1/2 inch. Got rocks that were all collected from Lake Superior, different locations, and got a bunch of organic stuff over here I collect out of my property. One of the things I like the most is lichen. That lichen is so organic, it looks great when it's under the water out here in the river. These are just weeds that grow this time of year. Twigs, petals, green twigs, leaves, any kind of organic stuff like that. And that's what I'm going to use to create the river inside the routed area. So we're going to get started on it. I guess I'll give you a quick look at my cabin. I've moved the process indoors from my shop because the highs for the next couple of weeks are going to be below 60. So I need the temperature to be higher. This is a cabin that my wife and I have been building since 1980. It's the kitchen. That's the upstairs loft. The walkway that goes across. And the rest of the kitchen over there. Stairway. Poles that hold up the upstairs bedrooms. Those big logs. We brought a sawmill up with us in 1980. And we milled all of our own timber. And took some of these logs off our own place. And salvaged all these windows out of a cabin that was on over at Snowbank Lake Resort. And so we got a lot of material that way. Anyhow, this is where I'm working now. And there's some of our trophy fish that we've caught. Some of the memorabilia we have around. Over Over here is the Wall of Fame. And it's got some big fish on it. There's a map of the Canoe Area Wilderness where we are and the Canadian border. This is when you go upstairs, the upstairs bedrooms. So, this is where I'm working. This is chronology of building this thing. Sawmill. One year after another, slowly it went together. Until finally we got it about this far and closed it in, and got it mosquito tight, and that's when we moved in. It looked like that. Okay, I'm going to go back over and set up for filming.